Back everyone. Tonight we take a holistic look into various nation-building challenges that have confronted Nigeria since independence and the possible ways the country can overcome them. The dream of Nigeria since independence in 1960 is to turn itself into a viable and cohesive nation, but sadly this has become an impossible dream. Nigeria is a multi-ethnic society with over 250 ethnic groups, and each of these ethnic groups also have religious and economic issues that separate them from one another. Our diversity has been a major obstacle in its drive to become a global and responsible player in the international community. You know, some have identified various challenges such as corruption, governance and distribution have been the major barriers to the creation of a viable polity. But as Nigeria celebrates 64 years of independence, in what logical ways can Nigeria overcome its nation-building challenges and emerge a viable, cohesive and functional polity in the 21st century? Joining me virtually from Sokoto State is Professor Bello Bada. He's a professor of literature in English. Prof, good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Great to have you on the program.
Thank you. Thank you, and a good evening to you and the viewers.
Right. You know, from a layman point of view, nation building is about building the tangible and intangible threads that hold a political entity together and give it a sense of purpose. So when you dissect the idea of federalism, holding it by the tiniest thread of Nigerian nationalists who believe that federalism will foster nation building in Nigeria. But 63 years down the line as an independent nation, Nigeria is still grappling with challenges of nation building. First, how have we fared as a nation?
So thank you very much. I think one of the most important things to consider is we remain very grateful to our own Creator. For Nigeria to remain united after a long period after independence, I think this is very, very important, commendable. We should remember that this is a multicultural, multi-religious, and a multi-ethnic society. And you know, nobody asked our opinions before we were joined together by our own colonial masters. And remember, each one with his own identity. Yet we remain united up to today, so we remain very grateful to our own Creator. The founding fathers who really worked very, very hard for our own survival had a vision of a united, strong Nigeria, where we would love each other and contribute greatly to the achievements, and they have our own name on the world map. Those were their own dreams, and they did their best during their own time. People still in the other regions, for example, in the southwest, they still remain very, very grateful to Chief Awolowo for his own policies. If you come to the north, remaining very grateful to Sir Ahmadu Bello, remaining very grateful to the first Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. If you go to the east, remaining very grateful to others. But really what happened after that? We fought a civil war for about 3 years, yet we remain united. See, one of the first greatest challenge we faced was the civil war, how it was executed. And after the civil war, we were supposed to sit down honestly and sincerely and examine those factors that really brought the civil war, considering them and making sure that we make a timetable, consider them, take care of them, and give a period of which we will be able to conquer those issues so that Nigeria could remain united. I think right from there, we created states, and we thought that was all. But the issue of integration, where people can be a kind of people can have faith in the country. People can feel they love and they are also loved. People can feel they are treated fairly. I think those factors, we really ignored them, and we continued with the military rule. The kind of military rule we continued with the kind of situation where people were more concerned with themselves, their own class, their own friends, real power and what the power could bring. So those were some of the factors really that really affected Nigeria greatly, and the people felt they belong to a particular religion, a particular ethnic group, and a particular geographical area. So people were really searching for a real Nigerian leader. He could be a Nigerian leader from the Igbo side, he could be from the Tiv or from any other place. But a Nigerian leader, a patriotic Nigerian leader who has Nigeria in his own mind, who is ready to die for the sake of Nigeria, to make all the sacrifices for Nigeria, and I think that was what we really missed. After all the journey, we came to 1999, and the people really thought the man who was elected in 1999 was a real nationalist who could really come and establish, bring unity, develop the economy because of his previous experiences and his own age and his international image. So people really thought perhaps a messiah arrived in Nigeria by 1999 after all the mess up of the military and how they kept us divided. And these were some of the challenges. Sincerely, the man who came in 1999 did not live up to expectations of. I think he allowed his own feelings, like it happens to many of the African countries. When it is time you don't want to go, you try to live. And sometimes some Europeans say all the rapists die very hard. So the other side of the military side of him, for people who really opposed him, so you could see how an elected governor could be removed, how an elected senator or elected speaker or an elected senate leader could really be removed. So things almost messed up, and there people in Nigeria began to really think, if the man in 1999 up to 2007 could not unite Nigeria, could not move the economy of Nigeria greater, could be personal, selfish, inviting friends, the people really felt Nigeria has a long way to really go. And this is where we find ourselves.
Interesting, Prof. You know, this is a vast conversation, and we'll try to dissect this from all angles. But is federalism the most suitable principle for ensuring nation building in a heterogeneous country like Nigeria?
When you have federalism, and the federalism is not treated faithfully, it's not given what it is supposed to be given. When it is federalism in name, but not in action. When the leaders are not willing, they pronounce, but in action they are not willing to practice federalism. We end up as we end up now. Nigeria became more divided from 2015 to 2024 as we are now. People distrust each other. And I believe if federalism was really practiced, as it was envisaged, and how people really expected it to be, this would have brought unity among Nigerians and other aspects of Nigeria. But what we are having today is because the leadership was really not faithful to Nigeria as a country, was not faithful to Nigerians as citizens of the country. And continuously, if you look at it, that was what happened. Federalism, yes, federalism, but was federalism practiced? Yes, it is supposed to be practiced. Has it been treated faithfully? Was there a commitment, or is there a commitment from the leadership? Is there a sensitization of the people to really understand what is federalism?
Let me comment here. Talking of, speaking of leadership and commitment, I want you to speak to the Nigerian model of federalism, where so much fiscal resources and responsibility is being concentrated in the center to the detriment of the state. How would you say this has hampered nation building? Also, over the years, have state governors shown that level of commitment needed to build a nation and foster unity?
You see, the real problem of Nigeria is always who is there at the center. When your own tribesman is at the center, you forget about federalism. You come to get closer, you get appointments, you get contracts, works are cited in your own area, then you pipe down. When somebody else, this is the great failure we really have in Nigeria of uniting the country. When somebody else from another tribe is there, then you begin to come up, you want autonomy for the states, you want resource control for the states, you want this and the other for the states. And when it is the turn of the others, as long as people see the country, not the country belonging to everybody, but the country belonging to the leaders and their own people and their own friends. So the issue of the center, resources concentrating on the center, leaving the states like that. And even the smaller resources that are given to the states, when you go, the local governments are also complaining that the states at the level are not giving them their own due consideration. You see, all this is because of corruption, insincerity, lack of patriotism for the country. That is what is happening. A leader should see himself as a leader who is supposed to treat everybody equally, irrespective of his tribe, irrespective of his religion. The most important is the country and how the country should move forward. And you leave behind what you write your name. You write your name in gold. But whether the resources are concentrated at the center or are concentrated at the state level, as long as you produce the kind of leaders we have, the kind of National Assembly you have, the kind of governors you have, the kind of presidents you have, people who are more very, very parochial, people who are more concerned with their earthly tribesmen and their religious men at the expense of the generality of Nigeria, then Nigeria has a greater challenge to really face. And this was what happened in 1999 up to 2007. And continuously, it became worse in 2015 up to 2023. Of course, we were ruled by this military. For the first time now in 2023, we are being ruled by a president whom we really believed didn't have a military background. And we said all of us will be on board. And the opportunity given is the president will drive the country to greatness in terms of economy, in terms of unity, in terms of understanding, and this is what it is. For the military, we believe they played a very, very crucial role in some of the corruption we are facing in Nigeria.
Yes. You know, apart from the leadership question, I asked that question because lately there have been calls for the review of the 1999 Constitution to reduce the power and responsibilities of the federal government to common services like foreign affairs, currency, immigration and defense, and granting of more responsibilities to states, as well as a reintroduction of the derivation principle, which allows states to generate its revenue from the resources available in its domain and give a percentage to the central government. Personally, or from your own point of view, are you convinced that this will bring out ingenuity inherent in the various states and lead to perhaps healthy competition in terms of development?
My real problem is as long as the process we are following in producing our leaders, whether you send a percentage to the federal level, you leave the data percentage to the state level, we will still end up with the same corruption, with the same corrupt leaders, where people buy the positions where they find themselves, where we reward incompetence, where the rule of law does not work. What are you going to tell me? When a whole president of Nigeria from 1999 to 2007 is confessing that he is ready to go to the court to give witness against his own minister because of the Mambila power project. What are you going to tell me? In a country where you have a president together with his governor of central bank finding themselves arguing, you said $49 billion lost. That was not true. And his governor was saying this. And you find people, these are the same people who are making policies, whether you take them back to the state or whether you take them back to the federal level. I tell you, as long as we don't get our leadership process of producing leaders in Nigeria, whatever we do, whether the resources are there. I think, look, ask me or ask yourself, what are these governors now doing with the resources they are receiving? Go and find out. What are they doing with that? When you are unable, you are collecting even resources from FAC every month, you collect a lot of money, you collect revenue, you fail to develop your own state, and the people are watching and they are giving you awards everywhere. So whether you will control the resources of your own state, you give a little to the federal or whatever it is, you will end up the same thing. This corruption, which we fail to fight and to confront, even at local government level, will never sit there. This is my own understanding on this. How can you see this when you don't use the rule of law? When people are not punished for the crimes they make? When the very leaders who destroyed Nigeria are now parading themselves as messiahs. They put their mouth in every discussion, in every conversation you find, and they even accuse people. When you spend 8 years as elected president of Nigeria, you messed up even the democracy, you messed up the economy, and so on and so forth. Can't you argue? How did we get ourselves where we are now? Over 80% of what we get will go for service in our debt. How do we get ourselves? The very people who are controlling this are human beings from different parts of Nigeria. The houses are the same thing, the Fulanis, the team, everybody. So we just have to come to the drawing room. We have to sit down and tell ourselves the truth. This issue of corruption, this issue of rewarding incompetence, This issue of rewarding insincerity, this issue of rewarding your own friends, your relations, food is ready on the table, you invite your own relations to eat the resources of Nigeria, oil bunkering all over wherever you go, kidnapping people for ransom wherever you go, killing, all this, because the country has been made poor. This is one of the problems. To me, it's not even an issue of sending certain percentage to the federal level and giving certain percentage to the states. It's not really the issue. We are not patriotic. We are not sincere to the needs of Nigeria. And as long as we don't sit down to tell ourselves the truth, nobody says because we have different religions, different tribes, we cannot move together. Who said so? If Americans can move together and other people move together, why can't we move together?
I mean, that's the basis of us having this conversation, so we can tell ourselves the truth. But let's stay on whether or not we need this matter of constitution change. Are we ready? Are we right for a constitution change? For you, a new document or a further amendment?
Do you think our problem is constitutional? We experimented the parliamentary system. We came with the presidential system. The parliamentary system that is working in the United Kingdom refused to work in Nigeria. The presidential system that is working in America is not working in Nigeria. You think our problem is only constitutional? That's what you are thinking. Our problem is we are the problems of ourselves. People have no faith in their own country. None of our leaders will fall sick and find remedy solution outside of Nigeria. No. So they don't even know what our hospitals are. We had a president who did not have a single child that graduated from Nigerian universities. So how could they know? You could now see them visiting each other in the United Kingdom in their own personal residences. So when you don't have faith in your own country as a leader, so the problem is not even constitutional. You can amend the constitution several times, as long as we don't give ourselves another social setup, we understand each other, we agree to work together, and we agree really to fight corruption collectively. We don't sell our votes, then Nigeria will move forward. But no matter how we go, and the top long grammar of constitutional amendment, we think our problem is constitutional.
So what you're saying tonight is...
When people will win election, they find themselves in the tribunal, then at the end of the day, they are told that they are not the very people who really won the election. All right. And nobody will say anything. Things will reach the Supreme Court. What are you going to do? The laws are there, but we don't follow the laws. What are we going to do? We have to tell ourselves the truth. Come back to the drawing board. Get our social setup right. Get people right from the primary school level to really understand their country in Nigeria, to know that Nigeria is our country. We don't have any other country. This is our country. This is where we are going to live together. So when Nigeria survives, economically improved, then we have unity, we have understanding. Don't you feel, is it constitutional that when things are terribly, negatively happening in another part of Nigeria, the other part they feel they are not affected? It is the same country, but they feel they are not affected. The others again will feel they are not affected. Oh, it is happening in the south. Oh, it is happening in the east. Oh, it is happening in the north. It's not. We are not concerned until it covers the whole country. No, we have to find out that this is our country. We are no other better.
Because you've just talked about... Right, Prof, because you've just talked about the economy, I want us to bring in the angle of the cost of governance, because especially because Nigerian democracy has been described as the most expensive in the world in view of the overhead cost of governance and its lack of corresponding developments in the country. Stakeholders have continued to proffer useful suggestions, recommendations to government at all levels on the need to scale down on unnecessary expenditure and to monitor expenses on developmental projects that would impact positively on the lives of the citizen. So how can we achieve a competent and cost-effective management system that is capable of maximizing the nation's scarce resources to the benefit of all?
How can we get what you are saying when process of producing our own leaders is faulty? For you to win election as a president of Nigeria, you need billions, hundreds of billions. It's not a matter of 10 billion. Where are you going to get the money? After the election, again, you go to court. You need money to hire lawyers. So at the end of the day, by the day you are sworn in and you finish up to the Supreme Court, when you count the amount of money you have spent, you think it's easy to recover the money before another 4 years? Look at this. Corruption is just too much. And every governor, when he tells you sincerely, if he should talk to you what he spends before he becomes a governor. And even after becoming a governor, when he hires his lawyers, when he goes to court, and sometimes even to Supreme Court, when he tells you billions of naira, whether contributed by different companies, whether contributed by friends, you think is charity? The very people who will come after this, when it is over, and congratulate you, it is over from the Supreme Court. Which country of the world is practicing democracy of that nature?
All right. So Prof, let's be clear. Prof, let's be clear. So is democracy an expensive system of government, or because we made it so?
We made it so, that's all. Other countries are practicing democracy. Nigeria made it very, very expensive. Even voters, they make it very expensive. So that is why we can have democracy without that expenditure. And I tell you, as long as a leader, you are produced in a fair, competitive competition, I tell you, you will serve the people. And many of these people will run away, I tell you, from competing for the leadership. But now you find money bags, carrying money. The only reason somebody will say he is qualified is because he is wealthy. He is rich. When you ask him to account for his words, how can you see a country where you have refineries you cannot even repair, and every year money budgeted, National Assembly is not asking them, citizens are not asking them about the money they have spent, and only for an individual to build his own refinery. And now NPCL will come and say, we'll determine this. And we have accepted this in a country of this nature. So what do you expect? How can we move forward honestly and sincerely with things of this nature? For the last 20 years, if you count of our own democracy, these refineries were not working. The staff are there, money allocated every time, budget. The budget will go through National Assembly, and at the end of the money, the budget is spent. So we make democracy very, very expensive because of corruption. And we benefit from corruption, and the country goes down. It brings crisis, it brings poverty, it brings lack of youth.
Politics Tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us. Tonight we're assessing Nigeria's nation-building challenges and success stories. And I've been speaking with Professor Bello Bada. He's a professor of literature in English. Prof, thank you very much for staying with us on the program.
Okay, thank you, Jumai.
Right, so let's move on quickly, because before we went on break, you established that democracy is not expensive, but we made it so. But when you look at President Tinubu's administration's demonstrable capacity to bite the bullets, I mean, we look at the implementation of the Oronsaye report, was something the president considered. Mr. President slashed the number of his entourage on foreign and domestic travels, merged some MDAs as part of this recommendation. So what more can government do to bring about a more structural, effective and enduring response to the fiscal recklessness in governance, and governance rather, that knows no bounds?
Well, Jimoke, if you are talking of Nigerian democracy, especially from 1999 to date, you find President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the most opposed president. But God made it that he will be a president of Nigeria, and today he is the president of Nigeria. He made many challenges, no doubt about it. A destroyed economy, no doubt about it. Floating naira, no doubt about it. A disunited country, lack of faith, and others, and so on and so forth. And more especially the challenges of bringing new policies, especially the withdrawal of the census. No president of Nigeria attempted, many presidents attempted, but every one of them could see the danger and he stopped. So therefore, things are very, very difficult in Nigeria now. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu must act quickly, especially in terms of transportation, in terms of food supply on the table, in terms of security. He has to act. What other president could do and get away with it, Tinubu could not get away with it. That is the reality. Others could get away with it. They could do more than this, and they could get away with it. But Tinubu, because he was opposed right from the beginning. Let us tell ourselves the truth. He was opposed right from the beginning and opposed by the establishments, people who really knew him, and therefore he really has to be conscious of this. At the time he withdrew the subsidy, people thought he had very good plans before withdrawing the subsidy. It was only after the announcement of withdrawal of the subsidy, people knew that Mr. President didn't have any other plan. Now that he's already in it, we are all in it, he has to act quickly, especially on the issue of economy. Where he finds his ministers who are not doing well, he has to actually look for capable hands, not really from his own party, not really people from his own tribe, not really people from his own religion. Capable hands who can help this country, Nigeria. And at the end of the day, he is hoping and hoping that perhaps at the end of the day, we will see light at the end of the tunnel. And this is our hope, but he has to be able to. He has no miracle we all believe, but he has to be able to.
So, Prof, let's stay on this because, I mean, looking at enforcing monetization policy of government as part of cutting the cost of governance. Many say, if indeed we are serious about this, government should discontinue provision of houses and vehicles to officers whose allowances are already monetized. Is this realistic?
The problem, Jimmy, here, big problem is corruption. Nigerian civil servants and the Nigerian politicians will always find a way to beat the government in every policy it brings. The best thing is the rule of law should work. You go, you do what you are not supposed to do, you break the law, you get punished. You steal the resources, the court should quickly prosecute you so that it can be a lesson for those who are intending to do. But when you see the very people who have stolen the resources of the nation and have been brought back to the government and given ministers, and some of them contesting for governorship in their own states, some becoming senators, you look at them in the Senate, then nobody will fear of trying to beat the government in terms of his own policies. So whether monetization or whatever it is, politicians and the senior civil servants, they are extremely wealthy and they have stolen the resources from the wealth of the country. As long as the courts and the government and the agencies the government established are not ready for prosecution of some of these people, we have a long way to go. If anywhere you go, they are ready to find their own way out. But it is punishment, rule of law, that will really deter them from doing that. That is what is happening in other democracies.
But Prof, I mean, if you're okay with this, shouldn't this also include retirement benefits for past presidents and governors enjoy after leaving office?
They don't, it's all these. They are more concerned with their own comfort. Former presidents, former governors, members of National Assembly, including those of local government chairmen and so on and so forth, they have different allowances which they create when they are living in government. And now take it for example, a state that has 3 or 4 former governors. The resources of the state now cannot even take that funding. This should be stopped. They have enough, government has enough for them, for their own welfare, but when they are now foreign trip, for medical, cars, everything for their families now is just too much. It's a big burden on the government. You can imagine Nigeria in the next 20, 30 years, they have many former presidents, they have many former governors, and so on and so forth. What are you going to do to all these people? It's another wayo if you don't understand for these politicians and these civil servants. They have no fear of them.
Prof, I asked that question based on the recommendation by former Minister of State for Defense, Senator Musili Obanikoro, who says we must adopt a review of the budget of the Senate and House of Reps as a strategy to reduce the cost of governance. And one of the examples he gave was that in America, they don't provide accommodation for lawmakers. They fend for themselves when it comes to that. They live basically on salary and very small fringe benefits. Do we really need a bicameral legislature? Because there are those who say for the purpose of checks and balances, bicameral legislature is perfect for us. And for those who hold that position, do you think that if the budget of the 2 legislative houses is made transparent and people can go online and see what is allocated to every member of the National Assembly and can also impute into the process, perhaps the call for unicameral legislature or a parliamentary system of government would have been avoided? What do you think?
You see, there was one former governor of CBN who even accused them of taking about 20% of the entire budget of Nigeria when there are not more than 500 in the two assemblies. So, bicameral will take care of that. Not only that, we should also reduce the number of them. You can imagine we have over 300 in the House of Representatives. We have about 109, or is it 108 in the Senate? Why should we continue with this number? What are they doing? And not only that, you find them all over Nigeria for what they call cite this, cite that. They are becoming even a burden to different federal agencies. With all sincerity, Jimoki, why can't we re-examine this and find out? You know, they will resist it, no doubt about it. We want to bring it a change of the constitution, they will never accept that. But we have to find a way of doing it. We have to find a way of reducing the expenditure. It's just too much. If a whole former governor of Syrian could accuse them of cornering about 20% of the budget, I know even when he said that, they were all over. They were denying and so on and so forth. Even now, nobody can tell you the exact package, allowances and the salary which each one of them will take. For what reason? What are they doing there in Abuja? Pursuing contracts from one ministry to the other, or pursuing different ministers and so on and so forth. If you don't do our bidding, then we do something for you, or we disgrace you and so on and so forth. What are they doing? Or are they pursuing employments that every agency will have to give them slots? Look, this corruption must stop if we want Nigeria, united Nigeria, to move forward.
Prof, let's dig deeper, because some Nigerians say this is another major task in front of Mr. President. The prevalence of bribery and corruption, particularly in the country's public sector, is huge. This has become a systemic rot that smears the integrity of public service in Nigeria. Just a few days ago, senior officers of the Nigeria Correctional Services were suspended over allegations of bribery. What challenge does this pose to nation building?
That is the truth, and it's only a tip of the iceberg, I tell you. This only happened because there were some patriotic people who decided to expose this. But this is happening daily. Appointments, people are saying that if you need an appointment, you have to buy it. You have to buy it. How can a nation progress like this? So many challenges for Mr. President, but he needs the support of Nigerians. He needs the encouragement of Nigerians. With the support and the encouragement of Nigerians, the President could do a lot. We could do a lot as a country and we could move forward. But when you look at what is happening, the very people who could not do well when it was their own time have suddenly become critics now. You can hear them, if you look at the media, you can hear them now. They found their own voice. And they were given chances. They destroyed the economy, they destroyed everything. And some of them, their tribesmen were there. They destroyed anything, but now they found their own voices. So we have to find patriotism. Love our own country, Nigeria, no matter who is there. And no matter who is there, when he does wrong, we get him punished according to the rules of the country. Not being able to do that, then you really get stopped. But so many things are really confronting Nigeria, especially this monster they call corruption. And now it has taken many dimensions. You are being appointed head of an agency, and they are expecting you to pay before this. You remember, as far back as 1999, once the ministers were being appointed, remember, they accused the members of the Senate of demanding money from them. It was a public, they are there. One of the former ministers was even a governor for 8 years after that episode. So that one did not, that continued in Nigeria. And now it has metamorphosed, it has become something very big, a monster now, if you really want to deal with it. And that's why Mr. President has really a lot to do. If in the correctional center they can do this, in the military they can do this, in the university they can do this all over, then what are we going to do? That's why I said we have to tell ourselves the truth. Tamba, we have no any other country. This is our country, and we have to protect our country. We have to think again. Yes.
Can we really defeat corruption in this country?
It's a very, very big question. Nobody can give you the answer directly because corruption is present in almost every country of the world. Things can only be reduced. In Nigeria, the question is, can we really reduce corruption? When 2027 is approaching, the governors, the senators, Mr. President, they need resources to go into election. That is again another big headache. After that, we begin to cry. Can't you imagine? Within from the time former Minister of Finance, Ngozi, was able to secure debt relief for Nigeria, if you could remember. After that, today we are indebted to the tune of more than 70 trillion, more than 80 trillion. How did it happen? What really happened? What did they do with the money? And every day you can really find it. If this does not stop, then Nigeria is in trouble. We are in trouble. 80 trillion within a short time of less than 20 years. And even before them, we were indebted. We got the debt relief. Now, how can people now look at us and respect us at the international level? What are we doing? You see our roads. The train, they say, couldn't finish anything. Roads, they couldn't finish. Then you can see poverty, you can see the faces of Nigeria. No, it is corruption. Money has been stolen, and they are keeping money for the next generation.
Prof, from our conversation tonight, one of the things you have pointed out is that Nigeria's current democratic dispensation is plagued by a rise in ethnic nationalism, agitations for self-determination, claims of marginalization, ethnic, regional, and religious tensions. These issues continually dominate state politics. What is the role of the National Assembly in achieving nation building and national integration?
The present National Assembly, their role is, they are the same people who are increasing tension in the country. They are the very people who are increasing these ethnic nationalities and so on and so forth. This is what is so unfortunate for us. This is the real problem of Nigeria. There is no doubt we need a sincere leadership. We need a Nigerian leadership at the National Assembly, at the national level, and even at the state level, and even at the local government level. The National Assembly was expected because there you have everybody there. Every local government or every state is represented in the National Assembly. If you look at the House of Representatives, almost every 2 or 3 local governments in Nigeria are represented. So all nationalities are there. People really expected them to show an example. But they were more and more busy with what they can do for themselves and what they can get for themselves. And that is why things have fallen apart. They don't even now, they demonstrate incapacity to even check the executive. Can you notice happening? Nobody is happy. So this is the reality. So as long as you don't elect people who have the Nigeria at heart, people who are not there to make money. And also, when you have their own constituencies who are also looking for what you are going to do for us, not what you are going to give to us. There are many people very poor. People are now looking for money to even eat. When you go to the hospitals, they are empty. The roads are distracts. Then you have the armed robbers on the roads and the kidnappers. So National Assembly is not helping matters, sincerely.
So what can you say about the role of the judiciary in Nigeria's democratic sustainability? What is the role of the judiciary in nation building? And has the judiciary lived up to expectations?
If you look at comments of people in different places, you find people are saying the lawyers and the judiciary are people who are very happy with the present dispensation. Because you go for elections, you finish your own elections, but you don't know who will be the winner. You are declared winner by INEC, but it's not the end of this. The end of the story is the judiciary, the tribunal. After the tribunal, you appeal. What is most painful is what is the role of the Nigerian Bar Association. What is most painful to me and many people like you is you find your own friend who is a very good man will be a chairman of a tribunal. After the tribunal, you find him purchasing houses, cars for his own children, traveling all over the world. And what you know is he has not read anything that will make him a thief. But you know he has not stolen money. And you know he doesn't have money. But after the tribunal, he's buying houses, he's buying assets, he's buying property. And this is all over Nigeria. From the north, from the south, that one does not know religion. That one does not know tribe. There they are united. Then, where are we going? Where are we going? Even Nigeria should be like this.
So, Prof, because we have a new CJN with enormous task ahead of her, What are the major elements in sustaining the judicial system of a nation? How do we continue to strengthen our judicial arm of government?
She must make sure that all the bad acts that are there, she keeps them on check. And if necessary, when they are found guilty, they have to leave. She must make sure that she is determined to serve her country faithfully. What else does she need in life? Even if she retires at her age and at the position she is, she has enough to live for life. All she needs is to write her name, history to remember her, making a change. There should be change. She should be very, very careful and put Nigeria in her hearts. She is a mother, she is a grandmother, she should make sure that her name is written in books. Check those elements, put them on check, and when they are found, fish them out and make sure that the law takes its precedence. There is nothing better for a person than to leave his name, to write his name in gold. What else does she need? Except to serve Nigeria, and serve Nigeria, and may God give her very good leadership to succeed. Without a good judiciary, Nigeria is finished. Even our democracy, how can our democracy can be determined finally by judiciary, by 2 or 3 people? No, something is wrong.
Prof, for some, the rule of law has a lot to do with the quality of people in the eyes of the law in a nation. But when it comes to protection of the fundamental human rights of the citizens, what is your assessment of it?
Well, when it comes to protection of the fundamental human rights, the only fundamental human rights, my own assessment, we try to protect is the human rights of the thieves who have stolen Nigerian money. They are the only ones you find associations and others are taking of their own rights. When they are taken to court, they have rights. When they are taken to prison, they have rights. When they are refused bail, they go and shout and they have rights. But the real Nigerians whose rights are being abused daily are ignored. They are in every village. They are in every cottage in Nigeria. Their rights are daily being ignored. They suffer in the hands of law enforcement. They suffer in the hands of government. They suffer even in the hands of their own employers. You know, recently, barricaded, if they were, that is what they call it, exposed what happened to a military personnel. Nobody says he should break the law of his own association. But there are ways you can punish somebody according to what he has done. And now that radio station has proved what they said was right, because now he has been released according to the news media. So human rights, rights of citizens are only the only people who have rights, whose rights they are talking about are only those who have stolen the resources of Nigeria, who have brought Nigeria onto her knees. But the rights of those in the villages, suffering in the hands of law enforcement, suffering in the hands of their employers, suffering in the hands of their own husbands, women, and even husbands suffering in the hands of their own women, and so on and so forth. Their rights are ignored.
All right. Prof, as we wrap up tonight, what roles can ordinary citizens play in nation building?
Do you know what role do you want the people to play when you refuse to give them education? Don't you think we are suffering for the consequences of leaving people without education? We refuse to give them skills. Then we want them to play a role. Which role can they play? They are hungry, they are uneducated. How do you think an educated person will just go and kidnap somebody, take him to the forest, tie him, and say, bring him money? After money, kill him? No educated person will ever do it. So as long as we leave them, they will become our nightmare. And they have become our nightmare now on the roads. We find it very difficult to drive in the night from Abeokuta to Lagos. Very difficult. From Sokoto to Talatamafara, very difficult. From Adamawa to Taraba, very difficult. All over Nigeria. If you want to go from Enugu to Owerri, it's very difficult in the night now. So, many people have been denied education, access to education, and even very few who are educated, very difficult, they have no employment. You have to buy offer. Maybe you are not aware of this. The president should be aware that offers are on sale. He has to stop this. Children of ordinary people back in first class from renowned university in Nigeria are there. No job.
All right, Prof. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Bello Bala is a professor of literature in English. I mean, we'll continue to have these conversations till we all get it right. Thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. We appreciate your time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot for watching.